What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and the Rust situation is about to get even more complicated because as Alec Baldwin continues to go out there in public and try to spin a story, try to spin a narrative about how it's just not his fault in any way, shape, or form, you gotta look at everybody else. You gotta look at all these people who actually handled the weapon. It couldn't have had anything to do with me. Well, now a lot of these people are starting to realize that Alec Baldwin may not be on their side, and they are going on the offensive. People like Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the inexperienced armorer who we talked about a lot in the aftermath of this, the 24, 25-year-old who seemed far more concerned with her OnlyFans or posting videos on her TikTok than she did about gun safety. Well, now Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, after a few months of being pretty quiet, after her lawyers floated this theory about sabotage, a conspiracy theory, well, now she's actually filing a lawsuit against some of the people involved with this. She is now going to get aggressive against people like Alec Baldwin, people like Dave Halls, and the person who supplied them with the dummy rounds. Take a look at this. Rust Armor accuses Supplier of selling her dummy ammunition mixed with live rounds before shooting. And of course, there's Alec Baldwin in that interview where he literally just lied to the entire country and came off looking absolutely terrible before protecting his Twitter, before deleting one of his Twitter accounts, and before using Instagram as his primary method of putting out his crazy, insane videos where he's trying to appear like the victim. Rust Armor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is suing the movie's gun and ammunition supplier following the on-set shooting that left Helena Hutchins dead. In the complaint filed Wednesday in the 2nd Judicial District Court in Bernalillo County, New Mexico, Gutierrez-Reed accuses PDQ Arm and Prop and its founder Seth Kenny of violation of trade practices, false and deceptive product labels, and false and material misrepresentations after Gutierrez-Reed alleges Kenny sold her a cache of dummy ammunition with live rounds mixed in. So now this is where it's coming to. This is what they think, at least some of the people involved with this. We haven't heard too much from the official investigation, but this is what Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is saying. The person who supplied them with all the dummy rounds and all the stuff like this, probably a lot of blanks and things like that as well, what they put live ammo in a dummy ammo box. That is what she is saying happened at this point. Now, we heard about Seth Kenny. That name did pop up. We heard the armorer mentor, Seth Kenny. We found out that Seth Kenny actually is the one who got Hannah Gutierrez-Reed this job, even though she had little to no experience. So the idea that now she's turning around and doing this is very interesting. Later on, we're going to get to apparently that a fallout of some sort. We'll see if we get any details about that. Hutchins was fatally shot October 21st by Alec Baldwin during rehearsal for a scene in the movie filmed at the Bonanza Creek Ranch outside Santa Fe. Director Joel Souza was also hurt. The scene was going to show Baldwin cocking it. He and Hutchins were going to go over how he wanted to position his hand right before the gun went off. Oh, you mean before Alec Baldwin likely pulled the trigger and let the hammer release without really thinking because he thought it was dummy rounds. Got it. Understood. Kenny and his company sold, distributed, and advertised its props as dummy ammo and not live rounds, the complaint said. Hannah relied upon and trusted that defendants would only supply dummy prop ammo or blanks and no live rounds were ever to be on set. That does also, when they phrase it that way, it pushes all of the responsibility off of the armorer herself to do any sort of check. So by picking up, a dummy and checking to make sure there's a hole either in the back or the side, shaking it to make sure that that it's actually not loaded with anything. So I don't know how well that's going to go. I don't know what the normal expectation would be for the armor if you just get it and assume everything's good to go or not. But that's what she's saying. The complaint alleges Kenny attempted to direct the criminal investigation into Hutchins' death in a way that cast blame on Gutierrez-Reed and included screenshots of text messages showing they had a fallout. She also includes allegations in the suit that insinuate wrongdoing of several others, including Baldwin, prop master Sarah Zachary, and assistant director Dave Halls. So she is now going to go after anybody, right? She's trying to save her skin because I think she realizes that she's going to be the focal point of Alec Baldwin's ire. Alec Baldwin and Dave Halls have kind of already teamed up a little bit in this. I feel like after that first day when Alec Baldwin retweeted a couple things about Dave Halls being responsible, since that time, they've seemed to have kind of been aligned because I think they realized they needed to, pick sides in this thing and they could protect each other like that. Gutierrez-Reed wasn't called to reinspect the gun. And here's some very, very interesting things about Dave Halls and about Alec Baldwin. The complaint includes a detailed timeline of Gutierrez-Reed's account of the day of the shooting, including the moments leading up to the church scene. Attorneys for Gutierrez-Reed have previously theorized in interviews there was sabotage, and in the suit they note a period of about 5 minutes when it was left unattended by Zachary, the prop master, and an assistant who had been tasked with watching it. In the suit, Gutierrez-Reed says she loaded 6 rounds into it herself and inspected the weapon in front of Halls, showing him the chamber loaded with what she believed were dummy rounds. Halls said he would be sitting in with the gun, meaning the gun wasn't going to be used at all since this wasn't a scene or rehearsal. Now, why would, like, if it wasn't a scene or rehearsal and if he was just going to be sitting in with it, why would he need it, right? Like, that's the real question. If he's not going to give it to somebody to set up a shot, whether they're shooting or whatever, why would it just be okay if he had it walking around? Like, that is a very strange thing, which maybe they'll cover it here. Gutierrez-Reed said Halls broke protocol by not calling her back to set when Baldwin arrived and took possession. The complaint states she asked Halls to let her know when Baldwin came back so she could re-inspect it. Her point was that if plans were to change for us to use it or be more than just sitting in status, Hannah needed to be called back to the church. The complaint also claims Alec Baldwin never responded to her request to attend a cross-draw training on October 15th, days before this happened. Had Hannah been called back in, she would have re-inspected the weapon in every round again and instructed Baldwin on safe practice with the cross-draw, as was her standard. Hannah would never have let Baldwin point it at Helena as part of the standard gun safety practices. Apparently, no one inside the church stopped Baldwin from doing so, including A.D. Halls. So we are seeing lines drawn up in this now. The fact that we haven't had an arrest or anything, I do think is a little bit ridiculous. If it had been any normal person in Alec Baldwin's situation, I think we would have seen something by now, or he at least would have been forced to turn over his phone. This dude who says, I'm cooperating with everything, I want to help the police, I want to find out exactly what happened, even though there's been a warrant out for his phone for over a month now, he is yet to turn in his phone. Doesn't really sound like someone who's cooperating, let's just be honest. But this story does continue to evolve, and we're not getting as lightning quick stuff as we were in the first couple, weeks of this. But now that we're settling in, now when criminal charges may be pending for some of these people, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is saying, no, it's not my fault. It's all of your faults. You guys are going to take the blame for this. I'm going to file a lawsuit to try to get all this information out there. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.